Okay, so this is Dan, and this is the 210 display with 229 displays underneath it, running off the one sump filtration behind the wall. So I'm doing my final plumbing overview before I get this tank cycling in. And I did everything pretty much in a PVC hard plumb, except for I did a couple hoses just for my supplies to my 229s. So everything besides that is a hard plumb PVC. Okay guys, so when you've got a lot of bends like this, make sure you time it. Made sure my angle was good, and I marked that. So when I put it together and glue it, I know exactly where I need to be. So this is what I glue all my PVC with on this tank. The medium clear PVC cement and a clear cleaner. Alright, so put the primer on. And like I said, sometimes if I'm doing a build and I'm putting fish and I have to circulate right away, I'll only put the glue on this side, since this is a new build and it's not going to be starting up right away, and it'll have complete full time to dry. I put it on both sides because it does make it easier to push them in. But this clear stuff, like I said, I've been using it for about 6 years now, and I haven't had anything come apart or leak. So it works just as good as that purple primer does. And man, does it look a lot nicer if you make a mess. And wipe off the excess. Okay guys, so I left the 229s out for now so you can kind of see how I plumb these drains in. I try and use 245s whenever I can, because obviously it flows better than a 90. Doesn't create as much back pressure. I did have to use a 90 on this, but it's got a 1-inch drain and it's only a 29-gallon tank, so I don't think it's going to be a problem. So I use a lot of unions for the simple fact that way you can position the pipe anywhere and then tighten it, and it's good to go. So and it's the only way to, if you're going to hard plumb stuff like this with all these angles, it is the only way to go. The other thing I try and do with my plumbing is I do as many pipe thread fittings as possible. I learned this because the first couple builds I did everything with glue together, unions and bulkheads, and when I made modifications to my tanks, then I basically had wasted fittings, and that ended up getting pretty pricey. So I use threaded ones as much as possible. There is a couple times, like this one right here, I had to use a slip one because room wise I didn't have room to do a pipe thread fitting on it. Okay guys, so I did go over this in a previous video, but I'm going to show you one more time. If you're doing plumbing tape, this is the only way to do it. Hold that between your two fingers. The tape's coming off this way, okay? Put in your thumb, set it on there, hold it with that thumb, and wrap. So that moves really fast. And, you know, with pipe fittings, I usually go 6 or 7 times around. With a bulkhead fitting, like 12. And then it just snaps right off. So that's the easiest way to do pipe thread tape. It'll save you a bunch of time. Obviously I use ball valves on a lot of stuff as well. Unfortunately I couldn't put a ball valve on that supply because again of room. I went ahead and put one on this one just because I had room for it. So I can stop and start flow and control flow as much as possible. So let me move around to the back of these. So main drain out of this 29, and then main drain here, and then right in the middle there That right there is my overflow protection for these tanks. So in case this drain gets clogged, and I oversized these drains. These are 1 inch as well, which is way bigger than what it needs to be. But I wanted to do that because if for whatever reason this one gets clogged, this will flow over into this tank, and then both tanks will drain through that one, and I'll be able to see that in my sump if I start getting a lack of flow on one of my drains, because I have 4 individual drains running through the wall there. All right, so I'm going to take you over to the other side of this tank, or behind the wall I should say. All right, so my 4 drains are here on the bottom. Okay, and also in case you didn't watch my other video, when I put these through the wall, I put a sleeve on them. This is just an extra piece of PVC. In case I ever get a leak right there, it's going to drip on one side of the wall or the other. It will not drain into my wall. Okay, so those are my 4 drains. Those are coming into my algae scrubber here. And what I did, instead of doing bulkheads right here, because I had a clearance problem, I got female 90s here. This is female pipe thread. And then I'm putting male pipe thread in here. Just like that. And that's kind of like a bulkhead in a sense. It's going to hold those from ever popping out. And I can tighten them up and just make a nice tight seal between that plexiglass lid and those 90s. So came out real good. Forced under that wall. Come up. I'm going to put a Chaeto ball in there. Hopefully that's going to kind of swirl because it's got to come down under this wall and then up out my drains. And then I've got my 2 drains, 2 overflows in case these get clogged, into my filters, through my skimmer, and then to my return pump, which is 2,400 gallons an hour. I'm hoping I don't have too much head pressure because it is kind of a distance that I had to plumb that. So obviously I used a union right here, and the reason I put that union there is so if I have a pump go bad, and you can just disconnect it right there. We're not cutting fittings, you know, doing that. The other reason you want to make sure that your pump is always easy to get to and disconnect and change. If you have a failure and you need to switch it out, have a spare pump, I unscrew this pump will come out. I can screw this onto my new pump, set it back in there, screw this on. And not just for you, you know, you go on vacation and you're having somebody watch your tanks. What if a pump goes out on them? You know, that way it's nice and easy for them just to switch out a pump for you if they have to. Keep your tank going. So, and then I went ahead and put a ball valve here just because I had it. And that's running back and right above my drains. So overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I don't think there's too much that I would do different. It is kind of a long return. I'm hoping I bought as big of a pump submersible as I could get within reason, obviously. We're going to see how that flows. You know, worst case, I might have to get a second pump to supply the 29s. Right now I'm just planning on seeing if that pump will do the tanks, and then I might put another small pump to do a reactor or the refugium, which I'm planning on putting kind of above here on a stand. But we'll see how this pump does when it's cycling, see if I think it's got enough flow. And I'm going to start pumping some water into this thing and get it circulating, get it cycling. So hope you enjoyed this build. It's not quite over yet, but it's getting close. Okay guys, so one other thing I forgot to mention is, I don't know if you've noticed, but this Schedule 40 PVC has a pretty clean look to it. A lot of people don't like using it because of the lettering and the barcodes and all that crap that you can see really good on the white. So if you notice, I don't really have too much of that, and that's just a matter of timing your PVC so all that stuff is not visible. So that's all I did. So anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. We're gonna get some water pumping in this thing and see if I got any leaks, see if I got any flow problems. That's gonna be the next video, so hope to see you there. Have a good one. Later.